This is a ranking of the top 25 largest ocean liners in history, ranked by their gross register tonnage. Note that cruise ships are excluded from the list, as well as multiple ships from the same class. If you are curious of what is the difference between a liner and a cruiser, perhaps a future video. Now then. Number 25. Great Eastern, 18,915 gross register tons. Launched in 1858, the SS Great Eastern was in many ways the granddaddy of the ocean liner era. Designed by the visionary engineer Isambard Kingdom Brunel and built by J. Scott Russell and Company, she tipped the scales at an astonishing 18,915 gross register tons, more than twice the tonnage of any ship of her day. At 692 feet long, with 6 masts and 5 funnels, she was originally conceived to carry 4,000 passengers non-stop from Britain to Australia. However, her massive size and the technological challenges of the time meant she never realized Brunel's ambitious plans. Great Eastern's career was checkered but fascinating. After only a few voyages as a passenger liner, she was converted for cable laying, and in 1866 played a crucial role in laying the first lasting transatlantic telegraph cable, shrinking communication times between continents from weeks to minutes. Despite her technical achievements, she was never commercially successful. Nicknamed Brunel's White Elephant, she spent years laid up before being sold for scrap in 1889. Her composite construction, iron ribs with double iron hull, proved so robust that dismantling her took 2 years. Although she sits last on this list, Great Eastern paved the way for the modern ocean liner. Her massive hull and innovative double-bottom construction inspired future designers, and her ability to remain afloat even after serious damage demonstrated the value of compartmentalization. Interestingly, she remained the world's largest ship for 4 decades until the White Star Line's Celtic came along in 1901. Without Great Eastern's audacious engineering, the great race to build larger and faster liners might never have begun. Number 24. Celtic, 20,904 gross register tons. Number 24 brings us to the first of the White Star Line's Big Four, the RMS Celtic. Launched on 4 April 1901 from Harland and Wolff's Belfast Yard, Celtic measured 700 feet and was the first ship to eclipse Great Eastern's record, coming in at 20,904 gross register tons. Designed not for speed but for comfort, she inaugurated a quartet of luxuriously appointed transatlantic giants that prioritized spacious accommodations over record-breaking crossings. Celtic's career was eventful. Her maiden voyage on 26 July 1901 marked the start of a service life marred by mishaps. She was involved in multiple collisions and, during the First World War, served as an auxiliary cruiser. In 1917, she struck a mine, killing 17 people, and the following year she was torpedoed by a German submarine but remained afloat. After surviving several peacetime collisions in 1925 and 1927, she ran aground off Cobh in 1928 and was deemed a total loss. Dismantling took 5 years. Despite these misfortunes, Celtic's significance cannot be overstated. She proved that enormous liners could be profitable without chasing speed records, offering up to 2,850 passengers comfortable passage at a steady 16 knots. Her success encouraged the construction of even larger and more luxurious ships, setting the stage for the Edwardian golden age of ocean travel. By surpassing Great Eastern's tonnage, Celtic marked the dawn of the 20,000-ton liner and launched the White Star Line into a fierce rivalry with Cunard. Number 23. Andrea Doria, 29,100 gross register tons. Moving up the list, we jump 5 decades to the Italian liner Andrea Doria. Launched in 1951 and entering service in 1953 for the Italian line, this handsome vessel was the pride of post-war Italy. At 29,100 gross register tons, she was billed as the largest, fastest, and safest Italian ship of her era. Designed with modern amenities and striking interiors, she symbolized Italy's return to transatlantic competition. Andrea Doria's safety features included radar and a double-hull design. Ironically, it was radar misjudgment that contributed to her tragic end. On the foggy night of 25 July 1956, she collided with the Swedish liner Stockholm off the coast of Nantucket. The impact tore a fatal gash in her side, and within 11 hours she slipped beneath the waves. Of the more than 1,700 people on board, 1,060 were rescued, thanks to the orderly evacuation and the assistance of nearby ships, including the Île de France, though 46 lives were lost. Despite her brief career, Andrea Doria left an enduring legacy. The photographs of her list in the fog and the successful rescue became iconic images of the end of the ocean liner era. The wreck, lying at a depth of 70 meters, has since become a mecca for advanced divers. While her sinking hastened the shift toward air travel, Andrea Doria's streamlined profile and luxurious decor still evoke nostalgia for the elegance of mid-century sea voyages. Number 22. Mauretania, 31,938 gross register tons. At number 22 is the legendary RMS Mauretania, a technological marvel of the Edwardian era. Launched in 1906 by Swan Hunter and Wigham Richardson, she weighed 31,938 gross register tons, and together with her sister Lusitania, represented Cunard's answer to the Big Four. Powered by pioneering steam turbine engines, Mauretania captured the coveted Blue Riband for the fastest Atlantic crossing in 1907 and held the westbound record for an astonishing 20 years. Mauretania's interiors were sumptuous, earning her the nickname the Grand Old Lady of the Atlantic. Her long, graceful hull and quadruple funnels became one of the most recognizable silhouettes at sea. During the First World War, she served as both a troopship and a hospital ship, ferrying thousands of soldiers across the Atlantic. Unlike her sister Lusitania, torpedoed in 1915, Mauretania survived the war unscathed and returned to passenger service with great fanfare. After a quarter-century of service and numerous refits, Mauretania was retired in 1934 and scrapped the following year. Yet she remains one of the most celebrated liners in history. Her speed record stood until the arrival of SS Bremen and later the United States, and her graceful design influenced generations of naval architects. For many maritime enthusiasts, Mauretania exemplifies the golden age of ocean travel when engineering prowess and luxury reached new heights. Number 21. Paris, 34,569 gross register tons. Our next stop is the French liner Paris, launched in 1916 but not completed until 1921 because of the First World War. At 34,569 gross register tons, she was the largest French liner of her day. Built by Chantier de l'Atlantique at Saint-Nazaire for the Compagnie Générale Transatlantique, Paris embodied an eclectic blend of Art Nouveau and Art Deco styles that made her a floating showcase of French design. Paris boasted spacious public rooms, a winter garden, and a swimming pool illuminated by a glass dome. Her towering black hull and 3 funnels gave her a powerful yet elegant appearance. Though not a speed demon, she offered comfortable crossings between Le Havre and New York. In 1939, a fire while she was docked at Le Havre caused her to capsize. She lay on her side for years until she was scrapped after the Second World War. Paris's life illustrates how quickly tastes and technologies can change. Within a decade of her debut, she was outclassed by the sleek Normandie, yet her interiors influenced later French liners such as the Île de France and the transatlantic steamers of the 1950s. Although she did not survive to see the post-war boom, Paris remains an important link in the evolution of art and architecture at sea. Number 20. Nieuw Amsterdam, 36,287 gross register tons. In 1938, the Holland-America line introduced its new flagship, the Nieuw Amsterdam. At 36,287 gross register tons, she was the largest and most luxurious Dutch passenger ship ever built. Launched in 1937 from the Rotterdam Dry Dock Company, she earned the affectionate nickname, the Darling of the Dutch, for her graceful lines and Art Deco interiors. Unlike earlier express liners, Nieuw Amsterdam emphasized comfort over speed, cruising across the Atlantic at around 19 knots. Her pre-war career was short because the Second World War intervened. Requisitioned as a troopship, Nieuw Amsterdam spent the conflict ferrying over 378,000 soldiers and 85,000 civilians around the globe. After returning to Holland in 1946, she underwent an extensive refit and re-entered passenger service, soon becoming one of the most popular transatlantic liners of the post-war era. She later transitioned to cruising and remained in service until 1974. Nieuw Amsterdam's longevity and versatility were remarkable. She survived where many of her contemporaries were scrapped, and she helped Holland America pivot to the cruise market in the 1960s. While newer, larger vessels would eclipse her size, the new Amsterdam symbolized Dutch craftsmanship and hospitality. Her success paved the way for the later cruise ships that now bear her name. Number 19. Rotterdam, 38,645 gross register tons. Another Dutch entry, the SS Rotterdam, launched in 1958, takes the 19th spot. Built by the Rotterdam Dry Dock Company and christened by Queen Juliana, she weighed 38,645 gross tons and combined the roles of ocean liner and cruise ship from the outset. Her design incorporated a sleek, low superstructure and a distinctive funnel integrated into the aft mast, giving her a modern profile. Rotterdam's dual-purpose nature allowed easy conversion between transatlantic service in the summer and cruising in warmer climates during winter. She voyaged between Europe and New York for 10 years before shifting full-time to cruising as air travel supplanted ocean crossings. During her career, she circumnavigated the globe several times and became one of Holland America's most popular ships. Retired in 1997 after nearly 4 decades of service, Rotterdam found new life as a museum and hotel ship, moored in her namesake city. Visitors can explore her preserved engine rooms, art-filled lounges, and teak decks. Her preservation demonstrates the cultural value placed on historic ocean liners. She stands as a floating time capsule of mid-20th century design and seafaring ingenuity. Number 18. Oriana, 41,910 gross register tons. The Orient Line's SS Oriana, launched in 1959, represented the twilight of the great British passenger liner. Built by Vickers Armstrongs, she measured 41,910 gross register tons and was designed for service between Britain and Australia. Sleek and modern, Oriana featured a single streamlined funnel and a sharply raked bow. She was the last purpose-built ocean liner for the Orient Line and one of the fastest, reaching 30 knots on trials. Oriana soon transitioned to cruising under P&O as passenger demand shifted. She gained fame for her world cruises and Mediterranean voyages and even appeared in the James Bond film On Her Majesty's Secret Service. In 1986, she was sold to a Japanese interest and used as a hotel ship in Osaka. While berthed in 2004, Typhoon May-on damaged her, leading to her scrapping. Although her career ended unceremoniously, Oriana symbolized the adaptability of post-war liners. Her design anticipated modern cruise ships with spacious open decks and air-conditioned interiors, and she proved that a ship could pivot from line voyages to pleasure cruising. Her success encouraged P&O to commission new cruise liners, including the 1995 Oriana that continues to bear her name. Number 17. Empress of Britain, 42,348 gross register tons. Built in 1930 by John Brown and Company for Canadian Pacific, the Empress of Britain was the largest, fastest, and most luxurious liner on the UK-Canada route. At 42,348 gross register tons, she featured an elegant profile with 3 funnels and a sleek hull. Designed for both transatlantic crossings and winter cruising, she offered lavish accommodations and could be quickly converted into a cruise ship by enclosing her promenade decks. During the Second World War, the Empress of Britain was requisitioned as a troopship. In October 1940, she was attacked and set on fire by a German bomber. Despite firefighting efforts, the blazing liner was abandoned and later torpedoed by U-32, sinking off the coast of Ireland. She was the largest liner lost during the war. Her dramatic demise ended a career of barely a decade, yet the Empress of Britain showcased innovations in dual-purpose design and remains an evocative symbol of the interwar era. Many of her design elements, like spacious veranda cafes and convertible decks, would influence later Canadian Pacific liners and the modern cruise industry. Number 16. Île de France, 43,153 gross register tons. Our next vessel is the 1927 French liner Île de France. Built by the Penhoet shipyard at Saint-Nazaire, she weighed 43,153 gross register tons and introduced Art Deco to the high seas. Passengers stepping aboard were greeted with modernistic interiors featuring geometric patterns, lacquered panels, and dramatic lighting. She quickly earned the nickname Ship of Style. Île de France also made news for her engineering. She was one of the first major liners to have an outside cabin for every passenger. a novelty at the time. During the Second World War, she served as a troop ship, transporting Allied forces across the Atlantic. In 1956, she famously rescued passengers from the sinking Doria, taking on hundreds of survivors in a feat of seamanship. Later, she appeared in the film The Last Voyage, which dramatically showed her interior being destroyed by explosions and fires. After years of service, she was sold to a Japanese scrapyard and dismantled in 1960. Nevertheless, her influence persisted. The combination of modern art and maritime engineering inspired designers of later French ships, and her involvement in the Doria rescue remains a testament to the camaraderie of the sea. Number 15. Aquitania, 45,647 gross register tons. RMS Aquitania, launched in 1913, was the last of Cunard's 4 funneled liners and weighed 45,647 gross register tons. Nicknamed the Ship Beautiful, she was renowned for her lavish interiors, which blended Louis XVI and Georgian styles. Built by John Brown and Company on the Clyde, Aquitania was designed to compete not only in speed, but in comfort, boasting spacious public rooms and a swimming pool. Aquitania's career spanned 36 years, making her one of the longest-serving express liners. She served as an armed merchant cruiser, troop ship and hospital ship in both World Wars, surviving U-boat-infested waters and even transporting American troops during the First World War. In peacetime, she shuttled thousands of emigrants and tourists between Liverpool and New York. Her reliability and elegance endeared her to passengers, and she was the only major liner to serve in both wars and the interwar years. After millions of miles at sea, Aquitania was retired in 1949 and scrapped in 1950-1951. Her legacy lives on in maritime lore. She epitomized the height of Edwardian luxury and resilience, bridging an era from coal-fired steamers to post-war turbine ships. Many features of today's cruise ships, such as grand atriums and multiple dining venues, can trace their lineage back to pioneers like Aquitania. Number 14. Canberra, 45,733 gross register tons. The P&O liner SS Canberra, launched in 1960, weighed 45,733 gross register tons and is often remembered for her distinctive white livery and round-the-world service. Built by Harland and Wolff, she was one of the last passenger liners constructed in the United Kingdom. With a sleek shopping bag profile, low superstructure and high slab sides, she symbolized the transition from liner to cruise ship. Canberra's early years were spent on the UK-Australia run as part of the Assisted Passage scheme. In the 1970s, she pivoted to cruising, visiting exotic ports across the globe. Her moment of fame came in 1982 when the British government requisitioned her for the Falklands War. Painted grey and fitted with helicopter pads, she transported over 3,000 troops to the South Atlantic and returned home to cheering crowds. In the James Bond film Diamonds Are Forever, Canberra is the ship where the characters Wint and Kidd confront Bond. After the war, Canberra resumed cruising, but rising operating costs and new safety regulations eventually caught up with her. She retired in 1997 and was scrapped in 1998. Yet she occupies a special place in maritime history as both a beloved cruise ship and a wartime veteran. Her service in the Falklands inspired new generations of P&O customers, and her design influenced later purpose-built cruise liners. Number 13. Michelangelo, 45,911 gross register tons. Italy's 1960s entry into the luxury liner race was SS Michelangelo. Launched in 1962 by the Ansaldo yards in Genoa, she weighed 45,911 gross register tons and embodied Italian flair. Her sweeping lines, raked funnels, and stylish interiors made her and her sister Raffaello the pride of the Italian fleet. Michelangelo offered numerous bars, a theatre, and even a chapel, emphasizing leisure and culture at sea. Like many liners of her era, Michelangelo entered service just as transatlantic travel was shifting to the skies. Her voyages between Genoa, Cannes, New York, and Florida struggled to attract passengers in the face of faster jetliners. She briefly found success cruising to the Caribbean, but rising operating costs proved unsustainable. In 1975, she was laid up and later sold to the Shah of Iran to serve as accommodation for military cadets. By 1991, she was scrapped. Michelangelo's short career symbolizes the end of the classic transatlantic era. She and Raffaello were among the last liners built primarily for line voyages rather than cruising. Their striking design, however, lives on in enthusiasts' memories, and their Italian aesthetic influenced later cruise ships built by Fincantieri. Number 12. Titanic, 46,328 gross register tons. Few ships capture the public imagination like the RMS Titanic. Built by Harland and Wolff and launched in 1911, she weighed 46,328 gross register tons and was the largest movable object of her time. Her design emphasized both luxury and safety. She featured elegant first-class suites, a grand staircase, Turkish baths and electric elevators, along with 16 watertight compartments that led many to believe she was unsinkable. Titanic's maiden voyage in April 1912 was a society event, with millionaires, immigrants and crew sharing the same vessel. On the night of 14th April, she struck an iceberg in the North Atlantic. The collision buckled her hull plates and flooded 5 compartments, beyond her design limits. Just before 2 a.m. on 15th April, Titanic broke apart and sank, claiming over 1,500 lives. The disaster shocked the world and led to sweeping reforms in maritime safety, including increased lifeboat capacity and the International Ice Patrol. Titanic's fame partly stems from her tragic fate, but she also had 2 sister ships, Olympic and Britannic, whose careers followed different trajectories. Olympic served successfully for 24 years, while Britannic sank during the First World War after striking a mine. Together, the 3 Olympics represented the White Star Line's ambition to dominate the North Atlantic. Titanic's story continues to inspire books, films, and exhibitions, reminding us of the human hubris and heroism at sea. Number 11. Conte di Savoia, 48,502 gross register tons. Launched in 1931 for the Italian line, SS Conte di Savoia was known as the Belle of the Mediterranean. At 48,502 gross register tons, she featured cutting-edge technology. She was one of the first major liners fitted with gyroscopic stabilizers that reduced rolling in rough seas, making voyages more comfortable. Her interiors combined modernist design with classical Italian elegance, including frescoes, marbles, and sweeping staircases. Conte di Savoia was paired with her faster running mate, SS Rex, on the transatlantic route. Though slower, she offered a smoother ride thanks to her stabilizers. During the Second World War, she served briefly as a troopship before being laid up and then confiscated by the Allies. After the war, she was returned to Italy, but like many pre-war liners, she could not compete with newer ships and air travel. She was scrapped in the late 1940s. Her contribution lies in pioneering passenger comfort. Gyroscopic stabilization, later refined into fin stabilizers, became standard on modern cruise ships. Conte di Savoia demonstrates how incremental innovations can dramatically improve the passenger experience and highlights Italy's important role in ocean liner design during the interwar period. Number 10. Rex, 51,062 gross register tons. Italy's SS Rex, launched in 1931 and entering service the next year, was the pride of Mussolini's regime. At 51,062 gross register tons, she was designed to challenge British and German dominance on the Atlantic. Her sleek hull and powerful machinery enabled her to seize the Blue Riband in 1933, with a westbound crossing averaging 28 knots, an impressive feat for a ship emphasizing luxury as well as speed. Rex's interiors blended Art Deco with Italian Renaissance motifs, offering passengers marble-lined suites, frescoed dining rooms, and an outdoor swimming pool. She initially proved popular, but the Great Depression and political tensions limited her profitability. During the Second World War, she was laid up in Italy to avoid Allied capture. In September 1944, while anchored in Trieste, she was attacked by RAF fighter bombers and burned before sinking in shallow water. The wreck was later salvaged and scrapped. Rex's triumph in the Blue Riband race brought prestige to Italy and momentarily upset the dominance of German liners Bremen and Europa. Her brief but brilliant career illustrates how geopolitical ambitions were projected onto ocean liners and how quickly war could end these grand ventures. Number 9. Bremen, 51,656 gross register tons. The German liner SS Bremen, launched in 1928 by Deutsche Schiff- und Maschinenbau AG Weser, weighed 51,656 gross register tons and introduced modern high-speed design to the Atlantic. She employed four-geared steam turbines driving two propellers, enabling her to average 27.83 knots on her maiden westbound crossing in July 1929, capturing the Blue Riband. She also set an eastbound record on her return voyage. Bremen's streamlined hull and raked bow were complemented by innovative interiors that embraced the Bauhaus aesthetic: clean lines, minimal ornamentation, and bright colors. Along with her sister Europa, she ushered in a new era of fast, modern liners that influenced later ships like the United States. During the Second World War, Bremen was laid up in Bremerhaven and served as a barracks ship. In 1941, a disgruntled crew member set her on fire. The charred hull was later scrapped. Although her career lasted barely a dozen years, Bremen's impact on naval architecture was profound. She proved that high speed could be combined with economy and style, and she inspired other nations to pursue streamlined, turbine-driven liners. Her untimely end serves as a reminder of how political upheaval can cut short technological progress. Number 8. United States, 53,329 gross register tons. The SS United States, launched in 1952 by Newport News Shipbuilding, remains the largest ocean liner ever built entirely in the United States, weighing 53,329 gross register tons. Designed by naval architect William Francis Gibbs, she embodied post-war American optimism and engineering prowess. Her hull and superstructure used lightweight aluminium to save weight, and her powerful steam turbines delivered over 240,000 horsepower, enabling a top speed that remains shrouded in secrecy. On her maiden voyage in 1952, the United States shattered the transatlantic speed record, crossing from New York to Le Havre in 3 days, 10 hours and 40 minutes at an average speed of 35.59 knots. She still holds the Blue Riband for the fastest westbound crossing. Her design allowed conversion to a troop ship capable of transporting 14,000 soldiers, reflecting Cold War realities. However, she never saw military service. Declining passenger numbers in the 1960s led to her withdrawal from service in 1969. Since then, she has passed through various owners and faced multiple redevelopment schemes. Today, she is moored in Philadelphia, awaiting preservation or conversion. Proposals range from transforming her into a stationary hotel to sinking her as an artificial reef. The United States represents the pinnacle of American ocean liner design and the end of the Blue Riband era. Number 7. Leviathan, ex-Vaterland, 59,956 gross register tons. Before becoming the SS Leviathan for United States lines, this ship began life as the German Vaterland. Launched in 1913 by Blohm and Voss, she exceeded 59,956 gross register tons, making her the largest passenger ship in the world at the time. Her opulent interiors showcased German craftsmanship, and she could carry more than 3,000 passengers. However, the outbreak of the First World War stranded her in New York, and in 1917, the United States seized her, renaming her USS Leviathan. As a troop ship, Leviathan made an invaluable contribution, transporting over 94,000 American soldiers to Europe. After the war, she was refitted at great expense for civilian service and re-entered the transatlantic trade in 1923 under United States lines. Despite her size and popularity, she was plagued by high operating costs, labor disputes, and outdated coal-fired boilers. She seldom sailed full and often ran at a loss. By 1934, she was laid up, and she was scrapped in 1938-1939. Leviathan's story highlights the political and economic upheavals of the early 20th century. She served both as a luxurious German liner and a crucial American troop transport. Her fate also demonstrates how quickly technology and tastes evolved. Within 2 decades, she went from the world's largest ship to obsolete relic. Number 6. France, 66,347 gross register tons. SS France, 1960, was France's answer to the shrinking transatlantic market. Launched in 1960 by Chantiers de l'Atlantique, She measured 66,347 gross register tons, and at 1,035 feet was the longest passenger ship in the world until Queen Mary II. Her slender hull, flared bow, and twin slim funnels gave her a sleek, modern look. On board, passengers enjoyed lavish dining rooms, 2 swimming pools, and a theatre, all decorated with contemporary French art. France was conceived as a symbol of national pride, and her service was subsidized by the French government. Despite her popularity, she struggled financially as jets captured most transatlantic traffic. In 1979, Norwegian Cruise Line purchased her, renamed her SS Norway, and extensively modified her to become the world's largest cruise ship at the time. She remained a popular cruise liner throughout the 1980s and 1990s, offering Caribbean voyages and transatlantic crossings during summer. After a boiler explosion in 2003, she was laid up and eventually scrapped in 2008. France's transformation into Norway illustrates how major liners adapted to survive in the jet age. Her long, graceful lines influenced the design of modern cruise ships, and many veterans fondly recall her as one of the last true ocean liners built for national prestige. Number 5. Queen Elizabeth II, 70,327 gross register tons. Entering the top 5, we meet the beloved QE2. Launched in 1967 and entering service in 1969, she measured 70,327 gross register tons following a 1994 refit. Built by John Brown and Company on the Clyde for Cunard, she was named not after the reigning monarch, but after the earlier liner Queen Elizabeth. Cunard uses numerals only when a ship shares a name with a predecessor. Her sleek profile, single funnel, and black and white livery evoked her predecessors while embracing modernity. The QE2 served as an ocean liner and cruise ship for nearly 40 years, linking Southampton and New York in summer and offering world cruises in winter. She was fast, capable of 32 knots, and featured numerous lounges, restaurants, and even a synagogue. During the 1982 Falklands War, she was requisitioned as a troopship, carrying 3,000 soldiers to the South Atlantic. In 1994, she underwent a major refit that increased her tonnage and modernized her interiors. Retired in 2008 and replaced by Queen Mary II, she now serves as a floating hotel in Dubai. Her longevity and adaptability made her one of the most famous ocean liners of the late 20th century. She bridged the gap between the age of the ocean liner and the era of modern cruising, capturing the hearts of passengers worldwide. Number 4. Queen Mary, 81,237 gross register tons. Launched in 1934, the RMS Queen Mary represents the zenith of pre-war British ocean liners. Built by John Brown and Company for Cunard, she measured 80,774 gross register tons as built and 81,237 GRT after post-war modifications. With her triple funnels, long sheer, and Art Deco interiors, Queen Mary epitomized transatlantic glamour. On her maiden voyage in 1936, she captured the Blue Riband, briefly surrendering it to Normandie before winning it back in 1938. When war broke out in 1939, she was converted into the troopship HMT Queen Mary. Painted grey and nicknamed the Grey Ghost, she was fast enough to outrun U-boats and could carry up to 16,783 people on a single voyage, the most ever transported by one vessel. After the war, she returned to passenger service and ferried celebrities and immigrants across the Atlantic until the rise of jet travel made her obsolete. Retired in 1967, Queen Mary was sold to the city of Long Beach, California, where she remains permanently moored as a museum and hotel. Visitors can tour her preserved engine rooms, ballrooms, and staterooms, experiencing the grandeur of 1930s ocean travel. Her preservation also stands as a memorial to the thousands of troops she carried during wartime. Number 3. Normandie, 83,423 gross register tons. France's 1935 masterpiece, the SS Normandie, takes the bronze medal. Built by Penhoet at Saint-Nazaire, she measured 83,423 gross register tons and was the largest and fastest passenger ship when she entered service. Her sleek hull, bulbous bow, and turbo-electric propulsion gave her unmatched speed, enabling her to cross the Atlantic in 4 days and seize the Blue Riband on her maiden voyage. Her interiors were equally breathtaking, grand salons decorated in Art Moderne style, a dining room longer than the Hall of Mirrors at Versailles, and a staircase lit by Lalique glass. Normandie's career was tragically short. When the Second World War began, she was laid up in New York, then requisitioned by the U.S. Navy and renamed USS Lafayette. During her conversion to a troopship in February 1942, a welder's spark ignited a fire that spread rapidly, causing the ship to capsize at her berth. Salvage attempts proved too costly, and she was scrapped in 1946. Despite her demise, Normandie remains an icon of maritime design and is often regarded as the most beautiful ocean liner ever built. Number 2. Queen Elizabeth, 83,673 gross register tons. Our runner-up is the RMS Queen Elizabeth, launched in 1938 for Cunard. At 83,673 gross register tons, she was briefly the largest passenger ship in the world, intended to sail alongside her sister, Queen Mary. War intervened before she could enter commercial service, and in March 1940, she quietly slipped out of Clydebank and sailed to New York to evade German bombers. There she was converted into a troopship, transporting over 750,000 soldiers during the Second World War. After the war, Queen Elizabeth finally began transatlantic service in 1946, offering passengers sumptuous Art Deco interiors, a double-width promenade, and a top speed of over 28 knots. She remained in Cunard service until 1968. Sold to a succession of owners, she became a floating hotel in Port Everglades and then Hong Kong. In 1972, while being converted into a university at sea, she caught fire and capsized. Part of her burnt hull was later scrapped, with some remnants incorporated into the Hong Kong waterfront. Queen Elizabeth's story is one of triumph and tragedy. She served with distinction during the war and provided decades of luxury crossings in peacetime. Her catastrophic end underscores the difficulty of preserving aging liners, and her memory endures through museums and photographs. Number 1. Queen Mary II, 148,528 gross register tons. Topping our list is the majestic RMS Queen Mary II. Launched in 2003 by Chantier de l'Atlantique at Saint-Nazaire, she measures 148,528 gross tons, making her not only the largest ocean liner ever built, but the only one still in regular transatlantic service. As the flagship of Cunard, she honors the traditions of her predecessors while incorporating modern technology. Her diesel-electric and gas turbine power plant drives 4 podded propellers, giving her a service speed of 30 knots and allowing her to cross the Atlantic in 6 days. Queen Mary II is a floating city with 17 passenger decks. She offers multiple restaurants, theaters, a ballroom, 5 swimming pools, and the first planetarium at sea. Her design includes a reinforced hull, deep draft, and high freeboard that enable her to handle North Atlantic storms better than contemporary cruise ships. A blend of Art Deco motifs and modern luxury gives her interiors a timeless feel. Since entering service in 2004, Queen Mary II has undertaken annual world cruises, special commemorative voyages, and regular crossings between Southampton and New York. She continues to attract travelers who value the romance of ocean travel over the speed of flying. As the only remaining true ocean liner, Queen Mary II embodies more than a century of maritime heritage and reminds us that the golden age of sea travel still glimmers on the horizon.